11 p.m. Moscow time, November 8th, 2025. Air raid sirens are screaming across the western suburbs of Moscow. On the radar screens of a Panzer S-1 air defense battery, operators are staring at a nightmare of 40 small, fast-moving targets that appeared out of nowhere. This was the largest airstrike to hit Russia's arrogant face, because 6 p.m. earlier that same day, Putin had launched a $50 million tantrum, a massive wave of drones and missiles aimed at Ukraine's power grid. The attack plunged Kiev into darkness for 12 hours while Russian state TV celebrated, mocking Ukraine's suffering. But that celebration was about to cost them dearly because it had just triggered a furious and brutal revenge from Ukraine. A deep-cover Ukrainian Special Forces team already inside Russia moved into position just 15 miles from Moscow. Their vehicle, a beat-up potato truck, which was about to unleash 40 FPV Colibri drones, the bait for the trap. At 10:45 p.m., the side panel of a beat-up Gazelle truck slid open with a quiet groan. Illuminated only by the green glow of a laptop, a Ukrainian Special Forces operator gave a single sharp nod. One by one, 47-inch Colibri FPV drones, hummingbirds, were tossed by hand into the cold night air. For a moment, they hovered, a swarm of angry hornets organizing themselves. Then, in perfect formation, they rocketed towards the distant glow of Moscow. At exactly 11 p.m., they crossed the line. The S-400 systems, the apex predators of the sky, immediately lock on. To their highly trained operators, the targets look clumsy, almost amateurish, an act of desperation. They've been trained to hunt billion-dollar bombers. This is child's play. A Russian commander brimming with confidence gives the order to engage. There's no hesitation. Massive 40N6 missiles, each the size of a telephone pole and worth millions, ignite and scream into the sky at Mach 12. It's the strategic equivalent of using a brand new Lamborghini to run a single errand to the corner store. The effect is instantaneous. 20 of the tiny $500 Colibri drones are simply erased from existence, vaporized by blast waves designed to shred fighter jets. On the Russian radar, half the threat disappears in a single flash, a clean, decisive victory. But in the Ukrainian command center, no one is panicking. In fact, they're marking it as a success. The S-400 has just wasted a fortune swatting at gnats. The most expensive layer of Moscow's defense reacted exactly as they predicted, with arrogant, overwhelming, and incredibly wasteful force. Now it's the next layer's turn. The 20 surviving Colibri drones push forward now within range of the Panzer S-1 systems, the workhorses of Moscow's close-in air defense. This is where the real deception begins. The Ukrainian operators flip a switch. The drone's simple electronic signatures suddenly morph. Using sophisticated spoofing software, each drone begins broadcasting a complex signal designed to mimic a much larger, more significant target, a cruise missile, or even a low-flying helicopter. Within the Panzer crew's scopes, the situation shifts from a minor nuisance to a full-blown crisis in the span of 3 seconds. The algorithms scream, high priority. Human operators fed a diet of paranoia and procedure don't have time to question it. The system is designed to shoot first and ask questions later. They do exactly what the Ukrainians were betting on. They panic. Fire at will, a voice likely crackles over the comms. Instantly, the system obeys. Dozens of 9M311 missiles launch from the Panzer batteries in a blind fury, each rocket costing as much as a new Mercedes. The night sky is crisscrossed with streaks of fire, but the Panzer's sophisticated targeting system isn't aiming at drones anymore. It's aiming at phantom data, at digital ghosts cooked up by Ukrainian programmers. Within 90 seconds, the chaos is over. The last Colibri drone is blasted from the sky. The Russian crews watch their screens go blessedly clear. They burn through nearly half their missile load in under 2 minutes, 20 rockets gone chasing shadows. They are victorious. The mayor of Moscow, Sergei Sobyanin, is likely being handed a report as he posts a triumphant message on Telegram. An attack by an unusual drone swarm has been completely repelled by our valiant air defense forces. The situation is under control. They think they've won the battle. They have no idea they've just lost the chess match. Because while they were busy shooting at phantoms, their missile racks are now empty, and the real storm is just about to break over the horizon. 60 Liudi drones that were launched from Sumy 2 hours ago, flying a completely different route. While the Colibris were playing Matador with Moscow's defenses, the Liutias were quietly slipping in through the back door. They've been flying under 500 feet using Russian oil pipelines as their personal navigation beacons, staying below the radar horizon. But now it's time to climb. It's time to make their final run. Just as the Panzer crews are reloading, their screens light up again. 60 new targets, much larger this time, appeared simultaneously from the west. The triumphant mood in the Russian command bunker instantly evaporates, replaced by a cold, stomach-churning dread. They've been played. The first wave wasn't the attack, it was just the doorbell. This is the real storm. With the Panzer system still scrambling to reload, the defense of Moscow falls to the last line, the shorter-range Tor M2 missile systems. These things are deadly. They are the final gatekeepers, and they don't miss. The 60 Ludi drones, no longer hiding, break formation and scatter. Their mesh network is now working overtime, assigning each drone a unique, chaotic flight path. It's like a flock of birds trying to evade a shotgun blast. In the Ukrainian command bunker, operators are glued to their screens, their knuckles white. They're watching a deadly game of mathematics play out in real time. The Tor systems unleash hell. Missiles launch into the night, each one finding a target. One Liuti explodes, then another, and another. The sky is filled with the fireballs of destroyed Ukrainian drones. The operators can only watch as their numbers dwindle with terrifying speed. 50 drones left. 40, 30. They lost 34 drones in less than 2 minutes. 34 top-of-the-line attack drones and the millions of dollars they represent turned into falling scrap metal. The Russian defense is holding. The attack is on the verge of total failure. Just as it seems the Tor systems will wipe them all out, a new invisible threat enters the battlefield. The Kremlin is done playing games. They deploy their ace, the Krasuka 4 electronic warfare system. Imagine a tsunami of pure radio energy, a brute force attack designed to do one thing: deafen and blind everything that flies. On the Ukrainian operators' screens, the effect is instantaneous and catastrophic. Crystal clear video feeds dissolve into a blizzard of static. 80% of the remaining drones go dark simultaneously. In the Ukrainian command bunker, there's a collective gasp. For the operators, it's the ultimate nightmare. They've become passengers in their own multi-million-dollar attack. The drones are now flying blind, deaf, and dumb over the most heavily defended city on the planet. But this is not a surprise. It's the doomsday scenario the entire system was designed to defeat. The Russian EW officers are likely watching their screens, expecting to see 24 drones tumble helplessly from the sky. Instead, they see something that defies their training manuals. The drones don't fall, they don't scatter, they keep flying. Because the swarm's brain is no longer on the ground in Ukraine, it's in the air over Moscow. Cut off from their masters, the drone's mesh network protocol kicks into overdrive. Think of it less like a fleet of aircraft and more like a school of fish. When the shark attacks, the school doesn't disintegrate. It instinctively tightens, moving as one. A ghostly high-speed conversation is happening between the drones. They're sharing sensor data, triangulating their positions using the last known GPS coordinates and cross-referencing it with their own internal gyroscopes. The swarm adapts in real-time. Drones share sensor data, triangulating positions like a living nervous system, defying the jam. They are weaving a new digital nervous system out of the chaos. It's the machine equivalent of battlefield courage. The Russian operators can only watch in stunned disbelief. Their expensive, all-powerful off switch has failed. They just threw a hurricane at the swarm, and the swarm held together. Through the storm of missiles and the invisible wall of jamming, a handful of survivors punches through the electronic blitz. Not 20, not 10, just 6. 6 battered but still flying Liuti drones have now breached Moscow's final defense perimeter. All the smart missiles are spent. The sophisticated jammers have been outsmarted. The last line of defense is the most primitive raw mechanical firepower. It's down to the 30mm cannons of the last-ditch Panzer system stationed right in the city's suburbs. The night erupts with the guttural roar of Gatling guns. Streams of red tracers tear through the sky, a desperate final fusillade of hot lead. This isn't precision, it's volume. The cannons are creating a wall of flying steel. 4 of the 6 drones fly directly into this meat grinder. They are shredded in midair, their composite bodies disintegrating in spectacular flashes of light. The wreckage rains down harmlessly on the forested outskirts of Kupovna. 2 drones make it through the hailstorm. 2. They are damaged, trailing smoke, but they are still flying. And they are now directly over their primary targets, the massive fuel depots at Sheremetyevo International Airport and the critical Transneft oil pipeline hub in Zelenograd. They begin their final terminal dive. As the cannons frantically slew around for another shot, the Ukrainian operators, who have just regained a flickering, unstable connection, make their final move. They don't need a direct hit. They don't need a massive explosion. They just need to get close. The last 2 drones are riddled with cannon fire just a few hundred feet above their targets. They don't detonate in a fireball, they simply fall apart, disintegrating under the hail of projectiles. A Russian general watching on a screen somewhere is probably breathing a sigh of relief. The threats have been neutralized. The attack is over. For a moment, there's an eerie silence. The sirens wind down. The thunder of cannons ceases. In the Russian command centers, there's a collective sigh of relief. 98 out of 100 hostile targets have been destroyed. By their metrics, this is a spectacular success, a 98% victory. They just haven't realized yet that Ukraine was only aiming for a 2% victory. The gift wasn't the 10-pound warhead inside each drone, it was the drone itself. So what you've got is a 70-pound kinetic projectile. You take the unexploded warhead, you add the fire from that massive battery, and you mix in over 100 miles an hour of speed. That right there is a recipe for falling chaos. It's not a bomb, it's a kinetic missile. At Sheremetyevo International Airport, one of the world's busiest travel hubs, the wreckage of the first drone smashes down not on a runway, but directly onto the primary pumping station for the airport's massive jet fuel storage tanks. The 10-pound warhead detonates, but it's the kinetic energy and the ensuing fuel fire that do the real damage. A small but critically placed fire erupts. It doesn't destroy the depot, but it instantly triggers every automated safety system. Giant foam cannons engage emergency shutoff valves, slam shut. The entire airport refueling system grinds to a halt. Simultaneously, 20 miles away in Zelenograd, the second drone's debris rains down across the Transneft pipeline hub, a critical artery that pumps 500,000 barrels of oil per day. The impact ruptures a secondary feeder pipe. Again, it's not a catastrophic explosion, but a surgical strike. The leak ignites, creating a plume of black smoke visible for miles. The entire pipeline section goes into emergency lockdown. The immediate effect is chaos. At Sheremetyevo, all flights are grounded. For the next 2 hours, the airport is completely shut down, causing a cascading delay that will cancel over 50 flights and disrupt European air travel for the next day. The psychological impact is even greater. Back in Moscow, the celebration is over. The fireworks are now mockingly called reverse fireworks on social media as videos of the burning pipeline go viral. The sound of sirens, once a distant abstraction from the war, is now a reality in the capital. And this isn't the first time. The Kremlin should have learned its lesson last year after that shocking drone attack that literally struck the roof of the Kremlin itself. After that embarrassment, they spent billions reinforcing Moscow's defenses, lining the rooftops of government buildings with Panzer systems. They swore the capital was now impenetrable, but tonight proved that all that expensive hardware was just a security blanket. Ukraine didn't try to punch through the same wall. They just found a smarter way to walk around it. The message is clear and terrifying: the war has come home again. Putin's carefully constructed bubble of normalcy has just been shattered by a few pounds of falling metal and a brilliant strategy. Now let's look at the final scorecard, the beautiful, brutal math of asymmetric warfare. Russia spent an estimated $50 million attacking Ukraine's power grid. They then spent somewhere in the neighborhood of $200 million on advanced surface-to-air missiles to defend Moscow. They lost millions more in disrupted oil revenue and airport fees. Their total bill for the night, roughly $250 million. And Ukraine, their entire Operation Swarm Retaliation, from the Special Forces team to the 100 drones, cost approximately $2 million. They traded $2 million for $250 million. That's a return on investment of over 100 to 1. You don't get them anywhere. You get them when brilliant, determined people are pushed to the absolute limit and decide to fight smarter, not harder. The news of the attack ripples across the globe. The European Union, seeing the stunning effectiveness of Ukraine's drone program, pledges another €1 billion in funding. This operation proved something the world needs to understand about modern conflict. Raw power and expensive weapons don't guarantee victory anymore. Innovation, audacity, and the willingness to turn a potato truck into a strategic weapon, that's what wins wars in the 21st century. This wasn't just a military strike, it was a strategic checkmate. A masterclass in proving that intelligence and innovation will always find a way to beat brute force. It's not the size of the dog in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the dog. If you admired the sheer genius behind this operation, hit that like button. And if you want to see what happens the next time Putin makes a big mistake, make sure you subscribe, because you know there's going to be a next time.